in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome. This is Stephen Violi from the Psychology Webinar Group, and tonight we have Leona Dawson, who is returning. She was an expert that joined us a couple of weeks ago on the technique of focusing, and she went through the differences between focusing and mindfulness and a few other little things. But this is a technique that helps you to how do I explain it? Leona's probably the better person to explain it. That's why she's here. So I'll go to the next slide. I'll go to the next slide and I'll quickly say, hi, I'm Stephen. I'm your host, and I'll be facilitating tonight, and also we will have 15 minutes of question and answer towards the end. And I'll introduce Leona. So welcome, Leona. How are you today?
Good evening, Stephen, and thank you for having me here. I'm very well, actually.
Can you actually see my screen, Leona?
No, I can't.
You can't. Okay. Well, let me go back to the start because I've made a mistake. Sorry, everyone. I thought I had done that. There we go. The joys of live broadcast.
Indeed, I've got your screen now.
You've got your face?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, no, perfect. That's where we are. All right. Introducing Leona Dawson.
Again.
Again. How you going, Leona?
I'm well, thank you, Stephen.
That's good. Can you tell us a little more about what I was trying to say before? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Quite ironic.
So, in a nutshell, focusing is a gentle way of bringing mindful awareness towards the experience we have in our body. And we bring an attitude of friendly curiosity to what's in there. And we keep whatever we notice, we keep it company. So it's a way of noticing what our body is doing, what it's processing, how it's feeling, and we notice with a particular quality of awareness. It's mindful and it's friendly. We stay present to it, to our experiencing, and we listen for its messages. So focusing accesses our innate wisdom. So it's a somatic experience, it's in the present moment, and it's everybody's own personal living experience. So for each person, how they relate to themselves and what their body knows about how they're living is particularly unique. That's a long nutshell.
Okay. And tonight?
Tonight what we're going to be exploring is clearing a space. So clearing a space is a distinct focusing practice for increasing well-being, for stress relief and building resilience. So it really fits with the positive psychology and model of paying attention to what's right, paying attention to what our body knows towards rightness in our life.
Okay.
And that's what we're going to look at tonight, because we can have it for ourselves as therapists, and we can take our clients through this process.
All right, do you want to take us into it?
Sure. So if you go start the slideshow for me, that would be great.
Next
so
slide.
That
Webinar
we can
objectives.
get going with that.
Yep.
Yeah. So tonight, what we'll do is look at what is focusing, when can it be used, what are some of the benefits and what makes it unique, some very clear evidence, research-based evidence on its effectiveness. I'll outline the key steps, and then I'll take everybody through a guided experience, because there's nothing like feeling it for yourself to know how you'll use it in your own life and with your clients. So that's what we'll do tonight in this short space of an hour. So if you go to the next, Stephen. Okay, so Just imagine a psychologist walked into a room while teaching stress management to an audience, and she raised a glass of water. Everyone expected they'd be asked half empty or half full, that question, because we always get asked that. Instead, with a smile on her face, she inquired, how heavy is this glass of water? And the answers called out ranged from 100 grams to 300 grams. And she replied, the absolute weight doesn't matter. It depends on how long I hold it. If I hold it for a minute, it's not a problem. If I hold it for an hour, I'll have an ache in my arm. If I hold it for a day, my arm will feel numb and paralyzed. In each case, the weight of the glass doesn't change, but the longer I hold it, the heavier it becomes. She continued, the stresses and worries in life are just like that glass of water. Think about them for a while, nothing happens. Think about them a bit longer and they begin to hurt. If you think about them all day long, you'll feel paralyzed and incapable of doing anything. And this is where clearing the space is marvelous. It gives us a chance to put down the glass of water, and our clients. It's really important to remember to let go of your stresses. And I would say as early in the evening as you can, put down all your burdens. Don't carry them through the evening and into the night. And remember to put the glass of water down. So for me, at the end of the slideshow, I'll show you how I do this process, my particular way. But I really just want you to hold that frame of reference throughout the slideshow. You go to the next slide. So at the beginning, we talked momentarily about what focusing is, a gentle way of bringing mindful awareness to the body. And Eugene Genlin, who developed focusing in the 70s, noticed that if practitioners initially engaged in sensing their bodies from the inside, so that's clients or anybody doing inner body work, if they sense their bodies from the inside, name the current issues that were impinging on them, and imagine placing these issues at the right distance outside the body, the focusing or mindful awareness process that followed was often deeper and more effective. So focusing developed in the 70s by Eugene Genlin, who was working with Carl Rogers, analysing thousands of hours of therapy for what, and they found they could tell in the first 2 sessions whether a client would have effective therapy or it wouldn't make much difference. And it basically boiled down to how close were clients staying to their inner experience? How much were they going inside and sensing for what their body knew and checking, is this a good fit for me? Really slowing down. So that's how focusing developed, and clearing a space developed as they were developing the 6 steps of focusing. And it was found to be so effective, they added it to the steps. So that's the history. So if you go on to the next slide, thank you. What clearing a space is done at the start of a focusing session or start of a session with a client, and it's a method for finding inner sanctuary, a place of safety where we can rediscover our strength, resilience and perspective. So for our clients, it can be really helpful and very supportive of solution-focused work, narrative therapy, really helpful to find a place where the problem isn't and draw on their strengths to gain a perspective, to get a rest. It's a process for finding the way back to a positive sense of self, increasing the capacity to be in the present moment, and that's part of mindfulness practice. It's a process for engaging with one's issues while not becoming consumed by them. And so this can really help clients develop skills and trust that they are not their problems, that they can have a relationship with their problems, and to not identify with them fully. So to get a little bit of distance and start to relate to themselves in a more whole way. And for the reasons I said earlier, it's an excellent starting point for focusing. So a lot of people use it when they actually go into a focusing partnership and they want to just get to a clear space before they start focusing. So that's what clearing the space is. So in a nutshell, there's 3 stages. We identify issues and place them at just the right distance, and we'll go through this process so it will make sense. We identify our background feeling. So a background feeling is that feeling you always seem to carry with you. That one that is like an underground stream or a current through your life. And here's one that's really important. Stage 3 is savouring our clear enough space. And this really fits with what we're learning about neurobiology. And Rick Hansen talks about savouring the good in the Buddha's brain. And when we savour the good, we lay down the neuronal pathways for more awareness of good. And so it really fits with the positive psychology and the neurobiology of it. So in stage 1 of clearing the space, we identify each issue that we're carrying in a physical way. So for me, it might be, oh, right now I've got this concern about weeding the garden. So I've let it go after all the rain. And I just relate to that for a moment. Yes, that's there. And then I set it outside of myself, if only for a moment, so that my body doesn't have that concern for just a small time. Of course, we're not rejecting it. We can bring it back anytime we like. We're just allowing our body to have the experience of not having that worry for a little while. And it's as if you name an issue and notice the felt sense of it in your body. So I go, oh, the garden needs weeding. And actually what comes up is an image of me like being in very tall, weedy grass and not being able to see out beyond it. So it's crowding me out. And that's what I would place. I just acknowledge, oh, that crowded out feeling, can't see ahead because of all the weeds and grass. And I place that outside my body. And I notice I feel a little clearer having done that. So I might place it on a shelf. Sometimes I place things in the kitchen or the backyard. Some things I place on an island in the middle of the Pacific. And I have been known to place things in outer space. But each time, it's not rejecting. It's just like, just now, I'm having some clear space. This is a gift I'm giving to myself. And I can go back and collect them all up again. Some people have a cupboard, a box, a blanket box they put things in. They're all different. They wrap them up like gifts. So you just continue with that, with each issue that comes up as you go in and check. And then you take note of your positive experiences. Oh yeah, and there was this I did today that was good, and that. Do the same with them. We're just getting a clear space from all of our experiencing. And each time you'll probably find a little bit of a release of tension and a little bit of clarity. When you feel like you've got some of that, you'll probably get in touch with this background feeling that lives in your life. And you don't normally notice it, but because you've offloaded for a moment all of those issues, that will become more apparent. And then you set that aside, and then you savor. And that's an all clear space or clear enough. And the Winnicott in terms of good enough mothering, we can have a clear enough space. So that's the 3 stages that you can do for yourself, the stress management. You can do it between clients, and you can teach your clients this. So if you go to the next slide. Thanks, Stephen. Yeah. So what we would say is it builds stress resilience. It brings everybody, our clients and ourselves, to a better understanding, a deeper understanding of what are the things that are stressing us. Because everybody, one stressor for one person is not a stressor for another. We know this. And it helps us get a deeper understanding of what actually does stress us and a little respect for how that lives in our body. It reduces the impact of illness on mental and emotional well-being. So for people who have chronic illness, just for a moment, they can put it aside. They can take a break and feel some level of well-being. Being able to do this process, to separate out from your issues, to not be the problem, helps improve emotional self-regulation. Really big one for a lot of clients. Enhances mental clarity because you get enough distance to see things more clearly. And it helps us to reconnect with an all-fine space inside of us that we can relax into. Get some perspective and time out from all of those things in life that come every day. They're part of living, part of the human experience. Pain, issues, fears, concerns, distractions, niggles, tweaks, all of those things we can just have a rest from. So that's what clearing a space can be used for. Thanks, Stephen. Next slide. So this is why it's valuable. How can clearing a space be of value to therapists, any caregivers and clients? So statistics from the 2012 WebMD show that 43% of all adults suffer adverse health effects from stress. It's a phenomenally high number. And 75 to 90% of all doctors' office visits are for stress-related ailments and complaints and account for an inordinate amount of suffering, illness, chronic pain, fatigue, personal and professional setbacks. And everybody's body registers stress in a different way. It might be headaches, sore throats, muscular pain, sore backs, tummy problems, breathing issues. So the adding stress every day and not getting a break from it builds up patterns, stress patterns that get locked into our body. And so starting to reverse that process by letting our body get in touch with what it feels like not to be stressed is really important. The lifetime prevalence of an emotional disorder is more than 50%, often due to chronic untreated stress reactions. I think that's really important, that anxiety and depression and all of those emotional difficulties that people face that then become named as a mental health issue, a lot of that's related to stress and being really immersed in the problems of their life and not getting a break from it and believing they're the problem, that there's no difference between them, their character, their personality, and the problem. So this is how clearing a space can be of value. So if we go on to the next slide. Excellent. Australia is no different. 1 in 5 Australians report that stress was having a strong to very strong impact on their mental health and physical health. That's 20% of Australians saying it's strong to very strong. And almost half of all Australians report drinking to help manage stress. So, you know, we often talk about drinking being an Australian issue, and we can track it back to stress management. Maybe not the best way, but one way people do try and cope. While a considerable number of people, 40%, found the effort to maintain a healthy lifestyle another source of stress. So the very thing we say, go out, get fit, eat better, do these things, you'll be less stressed. For some people, you can add that to the list of stressors. So this is just some of the current data that's readily available. Around 1 in 7 Australians report experiencing severe distress, and in times we know unemployment, drought, these kind of structural changes that go on, these stress levels go up. So these are really big figures. So when clients come and see us, I think we can say stress is a big part of it. So when can you use CAS as a therapist? You can use it for stress reduction and self-care. Put yourself first. As a therapist, before you start a session, so that you can be fully present for each client. So you'll have things from the session before or from your own life. You can just go through and put them all down one by one, put them somewhere, you can pick them up again later, and then you're fresh and able to be more present to your next client. You can use it at the start of a session of psychotherapy, counselling or body work with the client, making explicit the process and teaching the value of arriving, sitting down, letting yourself notice how you are as you enter the therapy room, grounding, becoming more present to yourself and in your body, and actually sensing for what wants our awareness here and now in the therapy room, untangling the issues. You can use it for working with clients with chronic issues, teasing out chronic pain, teasing out the physical aspect of the pain, the impact on relationships, the social impact in their broader life, and so on. So all of those, the field of impact that our clients have. It's a lovely way to begin a support group meeting or a class if you're doing any of that kind of work. So everybody puts down what they've been carrying with them all day and become present to the group. And I often do it before I start focusing or meditation so that I can really be present to myself. So I'll put down this, that, job list for today, and dot, 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 and then I can meditate more clearly. So those are when some key ways you can use clearing space. Okay, so if we go to the next slide. So if you think about what makes clearing a space unique, here are some key things. It invites us to separate each distinct issue, thereby incrementally releasing body tension. So first there's this, then there's that, then there's this, then there's that, and they'll be the main things that you know are going around in your mind. And then some more subtle things will come up. Oh, I hadn't realized I was still concerned about this or that. So, and each time you'll notice your body relaxes a little and you'll get a little bit of insight into where you're holding that issue in your body as well. Just slowly your tension goes down. And the next thing, thanks Stephen, it teaches us to name and relate to each issue without trying to solve it. So, for some of us and some of our clients, when we get to notice an issue, we immediately go into problem-solving mode, rather than just keeping it company for a moment and acknowledging it's there and giving it a name, creating a little bit of distance between the person and the problem, without immediately going and trying solving things quickly. That helps get a sense of perspective. And just a little bit of time doing that is a really valuable therapeutic practice. Okay, next slide. It welcomes and helps us to be in a clear or all-fine space. So we have a few moments in a stress-free zone. And for the listeners, I just invite you to think, when was the last time I was in a this is all fine space? We often carry quite a lot of stuff from one day to the next, one client to the next, one job to the next, and really don't put down our issues. We and our clients can tend to do this, going over and over and over them in their mind, as if the repetition of trying to work them out or thinking about them will solve it. Whereas sometimes that just gets the problem all out of proportion. It helps reduce clarity and is just a big stressor. So going into an all fine or all clear space can also allow the subconscious mind to provide creative solutions. So we get stress-free and creativity returning. Okay, next one. I like this one. It creates a frame which has as its basic assumption the idea that feeling okay is our natural state. So when people are having a lot of difficulties in their lives or they're in a crisis, it can feel as though the natural state of being is a state of crisis, or long-term stresses can become to be a naturalized feeling, and the body and the mind and the heart can tend to forget how it can feel to be all okay. And for some people who had very, very stressful or traumatic childhoods, there may be no real memory of feeling all okay. So learning to put things down one by one, not dismissing them, saying hello, acknowledging them, but putting them down for a moment, can help a client and help ourselves to start to think there might be a place where this is all okay, where I'm all okay on the inside. I'm not problem saturated. I'm not stressed out to the max. But somewhere in there, even though these other things are going on, there's an okay place inside me where I can go and rest and relax and just be present to myself. Okay? So part of that process of getting there is clearing a space can show us how to have a relationship with our issues. So what I mean by that is when we talk about getting a little distance, we can use a metaphor of physical distance, putting it down somewhere. We can use naming it. So, oh, it's called this or that, describing it, or and using the word it. So what we're doing is getting into relationship with this issue. So it's no longer, we're not the issue, there's this issue and we're going to work with it or put it down for a moment and have a rest from it. So it teaches us how to get that perspective and that relationship going. And remembering that focusing, we try and bring an attitude of friendly curiosity. When we get in relationship with our issues, we can be gently curious and a friendly kind of like, what's that about? Without believing it's our character or we're the problem. Okay, next slide. This gives a name to whatever we are sensing inside that was previously not able to be named. So when we think about that, what we're saying is we might hold an issue really globally in our body, and it's just this feeling of being wired or a feeling of feeling really pulled down or dark, and we don't really know what that's about. We can't name it as one particular thing, and so clearing a space can help us unpack a fairly global sensation or emotional feeling. So we get to understand its complexity and nuances and can work with one small part at a time. So the naming part's very important. Okay, next slide. Yes, and this is a cute little slide. It helps us to put each of these issues at the right distance away outside the body. And when I say the right distance, what I'm really pointing to here is I often say, and where would it like to be placed? So some things want to be sat right next to me. Other things like to go and have a cup of tea, go and sit out in the backyard, go for a walk in the bush. We're sensing for the right distance for both of us, for the issue and for me. So that we're in relationship, we're saying what would be just right, where we're both feeling more relaxed, more perspective. So then we become aware of the big S self inside of us that is not constrained by problems or limitations, but is that ever-present witness that people often talk about in the meditation process. We often call it big mind, or big heart, or the witness. So putting things at a distance can help us get more in contact with that part of ourselves. Okay. Thanks, Stephen. And the last part here is it brings our awareness to an always feeling. So do we always have a feeling driven or sad or pressured, unprepared or bored, disconnected, racing, anxious, exhausted? Or what could be always feeling excited, eager, content. So this is a kind of a tone that you know is always there for you. You might always feel under pressure or short of time, or you might always feel slightly worried or anxious. And so once we put down a lot of our issues, we can make contact with that background feeling with a little more clarity. And it's always surprising to people what they find in. Okay, next one. And finally, yeah, it gives us a glimpse of what it would be like to experience ourselves without our familiar concerns and weighty issues. So, yeah, this is what it feels like for me when I'm not worried about this and thinking about that and planning this. And all those things are put down. I go, oh yeah, I forgot I could feel like that. The whole of me can feel quite relaxed and present to myself and at home with myself. And that's a nice place for anybody to get to, and particularly for our clients who may be under quite a bit of pressure or stress or concerns and have real life issues, but just to have a little bit of a break can be very empowering for them. Okay, thanks, Stephen. Next slide. Thank you. So there's been, just want to, we're in an era of evidence-based practice, and the evidence is that clearing a space is effective. So clearing a space has been developed as an experiential process in its own right and explored and applied to many issues and many special populations. Overseas in particular, they've done a lot of research in the United States. They've investigated the effects of clearing a space on physical and emotional well-being, its impact upon specific physical illnesses and syndromes. They've used it as a stress reduction tool, working with children in the field of education, and as a way of accessing spiritual resources related to one's situational struggles. So there's been research in all of those areas on clearing space. In addition, the role of clearing space in long-term psychotherapy has been investigated in several qualitative studies and found to have specifically addressed and been helpful in trauma work. So that's a very recent publication around clearing a space and its effectiveness as a therapeutic process. Thanks, Stephen. So the research done on clearing a space in pain found a 28% decrease in depression, a 23% decrease in anxiety, 21% decrease in the level of pain, and a 34% improvement in body attitudes, how people were relating to their bodies. Even if they were still experiencing pain, the way they related to themselves improved. It's been used for weight loss. So the control group lost, and this was an American study, so it's in pounds, 6.7 pounds at the end of treatment, and at the follow-up the average weight loss was 3.3 pounds. So they lost, they had better maintenance of weight loss than the non-focusing group, and they related the people in the group in the investigation found that they explored the issues around weight loss and their relationship with themselves more fully. So it was really helpful in understanding the whole aspect of weight and the emotional experience as well. Okay, next slide. A lot of research has been done on clearing the space and cancer support, and there was a statistically significant decrease in depression and an improvement in body attitudes for the treatment group when compared to the weight group, and that these changes were sustained over time. So what the people in the exploration found was that they had increased their self-care behaviours. Clearing a space was a therapeutic process that you can learn and use, and people with cancer did do that and sustain their improvements. Okay, next one. Thanks, Stephen. Clearing a space, the process that I'll take you through in a moment, is very useful in trauma recovery because it helps create a safe emotional distance from trauma. The patient or client controls the pacing, which is very important, that the pacing of trauma work is at just the right pace for the client, that they are the people who decide that. It starts to establish a sense of safety in one's body, which can be very, very important for people with trauma. And it helps create sets of new personal meanings of past trauma. So meaning and the whole trauma process get reconstructed. And clearing the space has been found to address all of these important components of working with trauma and trauma recovery. Okay. So in 2010, a 6-weekly process was put together of clearing a space. They did 1 session a week for 2 trauma survivors who were diagnosed with PTSD and were comorbid with substance abuse. And they were in a residential treatment centre. And they showed, after doing clearing a space compared with others in the group, a significance and reduction in the trauma symptoms, including less flashbacks, improvement in concentration, and less sleep disturbance. And the indicators were that they had a new sense of bodily awareness, which is really important for recovery, that their sense of interpersonal boundaries improved, and they improved their sense of safety by beginning to trust their bodies again. They gained an acceptance of their own humanity, so more self-compassion, and a greater sense of vitality. So they started to be able to take action steps towards recovery. Because there's that stage at the end of clearing the space where you savour the clear space, they found a shift to positive thinking and an ability to be playful and laugh from the clearer space. And from there, they gained a greater confidence in their own ability to stay sober. So it really helped them reconnect with a life purpose and their sense of self aside from their problems while reducing their symptoms. So it was a very effective working with trauma and substance abuse. Okay, Stephen, thanks. So I put these here, the steps of clearing a space in here, because I know that you'll have the slideshow to look at later and it'll be really helpful for you. We start with remembering and visualizing a time and place where you felt relaxed, at peace, or had a deep sense of well-being. So we're really inviting ourselves and our clients to touch base with even just 1% of a time when they were less stressed. And it's very solution focused, sensing for the time when the problem, they might say, well, the problem's always there, but when wasn't it as difficult to cope with? And you go there. Whatever small positive sense you can get, that's where you go. We name the stresses. So rather than stress just being stress one word, we identify each stressful situation we're carrying in our body and just unpack it just a little bit so that we can see all the strands that what we would call create the stress knot. And we untangle that. And the next slide. We separate these out. So the whole mass of our troubles seem to weigh a lot more and are less manageable when they're all tangled up. Simply naming and untangling the elements can help us get a little distance and get a sense of what's more important and what's less important. And then we put them aside. So we know we carry all of this in our body, we place it aside. And then we notice our background sense, and we place that aside as well. So if we go on to the next slide, and we stay in the cleared space. 30 seconds, and it doesn't sound like a lot on the slide, but often people find it quite difficult to spend 30 seconds in a good place. So really encourage people to savour the moment, because that is affecting our neurobiology, and that's what we want people to do. We want them to lay down new pathways. So really encouraging that particular step is important. And we name, find a symbol or a word or an image that captures the cleared space, because that helps anchor it. It helps us to come back to it if we know and have named it. So we really try and get a sense of it. And then that integrates left-right brain experience as well. The whole of it, feeling tone of it, the felt sense of it from the right brain, and the verbal naming it integrates left and right brain. Okay, thanks. Next slide. Okay, so I put a little picture of how I clear a space here. I, often just doodle and draw little pictures and write little notes at the end of the day, and that's one way I do journaling because it helps me to symbolize it. And you can see I'm no great artist there, but this is my clearing a space journal, and I write things down, and then often from the clearer space more creativity comes and a sense of what might need to happen next. Art and collage is a fantastic way to clear a space. Movement, so as you put each thing down you might notice your body wants to move a particular way. People use sand trays and symbols, so they might use photo language cards, they might use sand tray type symbols as well. So we can use clearing a space with the expressive art. Okay. So you must think about having it for yourself too, as a therapist and as a person who works with people. Clearing a space is a wonderful, brief and yet powerful tool to have in your toolkit for your self-care and to share with clients. It gives you an active way to bring a sense of well-being, spaciousness and peace into your life. It integrates body, mind and spirit and helps us to have a compassionate relationship to our issues and thus to ourselves. And it's really helpful to have a few minutes to dwell in a larger space where we're not constrained by our problems and limitations. So that's the theory of clearing space, and I know you can look at those slides later. So what I'd like to do is to just take 3 or 4 minutes, not too long, to experience clearing a space. So I'm noticing it's 9:10, and I'm thinking if maybe we do maybe 8 or 9 minutes to do a clearing the space and then questions. How does that sound?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
So, yep.
Yeah, that's fine. That'll
well,
be fine now.
That's fine. All right. So what I'd like to invite you to do, if you feel comfortable, is just take a nice deep breath. You've been listening hard, trying to follow something new, so your brain's been working very hard. So just take a deep breath, and as you breathe in, become aware of your body, and as you breathe out, just allow your body to relax a little. Allow yourself to become comfortable, becoming aware of where your body's making contact with whatever you're sitting on. And just deep in breath while relaxing out breath. I would invite you to ask yourself, and you're welcome to write this down as you go or just stay with the experience. What's between me and feeling perfectly alright just now? And wait and see what issues rise to consciousness. Might be, well, there's that whole thing about my finances or my children, or that work issue. Just notice which issue comes up first, and notice where you feel it in your body. Maybe in the belly, maybe in the shoulders, neck, maybe racing around in your head. You might like to place your hand there. And just say hello to it. Ah, that's good. And notice if you can find a word or an image or a quality that captures the whole of it. It might be knotted or tangled or heavy or like a stone or like twigs. Just noticing which a word or a phrase or an image or a metaphor or sensation that just captures it as it is. Now imagine that you can place it at just the right distance for you and it for the clearing space process. You might place it on a table, on a shelf, in the garden. It can come back later and you can work with it, but right now it's getting a rest and you're getting a rest. Just place it wherever it needs to go. And bring your awareness back to your body and just notice how you are in there. Taking a breath in and out, going into that space on the inside where your breath fills your body. And that's good. What else is in the way of feeling perfectly okay? And it might be another issue, it might be a body sensation, it might be a thought. Just welcome it in a warmly curious way. Oh yeah, I know you, we know each other. See if you can find a word or an image, colour, sensation that captures it just as it is. And again, place it somewhere just right for you and it. It may be closer or further out from the last issue, different place altogether. Okay. And when you've done that, bring your awareness back to your body and notice how you are in there. And just doing that one more time. Sensing for what's in the way, feeling perfectly okay just now. Saying hello to it in a kind of a gently curious, welcoming way. We know each other. Hello there. Sensing for the felt experience of it, maybe a sensation, maybe a word that captures it best, a metaphor, shape, a colour. And again, placing it at just the right distance. And bringing your awareness back to that. Just we're just doing a short session here, so you may be able to get in touch with the background feeling or tone that you kind of know. It's very familiar. It's always there. And saying hello to that. Naming it. Describing it. And placing it at just the right distance. And when you've done that, bring your awareness back to your body again. And just notice how you are in there. And if there's other issues or concerns, you can just say hello to them. But just now, just notice how it's been to clear a space with the first three things that your body let you know were important. And just for a moment, thank you, the body, for letting you know what was important and needed clearing first. And taking just a short amount of time to welcome whatever small amount of a clearer space you have. That's sensing, if you can describe it. It may be a word or an image, a movement, shape, a colour, a temperature, substance. Just sensing for that clear enough or clearer space. And really savouring and welcoming it, giving the name. And just letting all the parts that you placed out know that you can come back to them if you need to. And bringing your awareness slowly and gently back to the seminar. And just for a moment imagining, if you really slowed it down, could you use this with a client? Because we've gone through it fairly quickly tonight, just to give you a taste. But if you were to take 15 or 20 minutes with a client, how might they experience that process? How might it serve you between clients? How might it help at the end of the day? Or even in the middle of the day when things might be overwhelming and busy. You have to put things down, even for just a short moment. And you might like to open your eyes or come back to the space for the question period. And that's clearing space, or a shortened version of it. Thank you.
No, thank you. That was amazing. Now you've got a couple of last slides here.
I do. I have the guest house, which I think is a wonderful poem for clearing a space when we think of ourselves as a guest house and every feeling we have is a new arrival. Can we welcome it in? This being human as a guest house. Every morning a new arrival. The joy, the depression, the meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honourably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight, the dark thought, the shame, the malice. Meeting them at the door, laughing, and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. And I think that beautiful, beautiful Rumi poem can help people understand the focusing attitude of welcoming and saying hello. So really just invite people to take some time with that poem. And that can be a really interesting one to explore with our clients, what that being able to do that might be like in their life. Being able to welcome whatever comes. And I think there's another slide at the end there, isn't there?
I think it's just references.
The
Oh,
references.
resources.
Yeah. So just letting you know that you can do the clearing of space in a much more gentle and slow, take your time, stop, start kind of way, because you can stop and start the audio if you click on that resource. So you can go back and everybody can go back and have another try.
Of on your free focusing audio.
Yep.
Yeah, we that's
You
actually
posted that.
yeah on our Facebook page and podcast and website, and there's no excuse not to find it. Transformative.com.au.
Okay.
It's there. It is there. Oh, that was amazing. I'm still waking up from the.
Nice and relaxed.
Yeah, that's right. Now here are the references. If anyone would like them, I can email them to you as well, because we will go on to the next slide, which is the question and answer time for Leona.
Yeah.
And I've noticed a couple of things come up. More chat boxes, not actually questions. We'll have a look and see what people are saying. Yeah, if you could start typing your questions in, that would be great. I'll start reading some of the chat things out, actually. Anna says, thank you very much. That was awesome.
My pleasure.
Daniel, I feel very refreshed. I like it.
Good.
Oh, what am I doing here? Sorry, everyone. Don't know, I'm clicking the wrong thing. Who else do we have? No questions as yet. Natasha says that was very motivating for me. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad, Natasha.
But there's no questions coming. No one's got any questions.
But that's interesting, isn't it? They're probably all in their right brain still.
Yeah.
Relaxed.
Vanessa says, I'm so relaxed. Your voice is so soothing, but I don't have any questions. Yeah. No,
well, that's a nice way to end the evening, isn't it, with everybody relaxed?
You must have answered all the questions. Either that or not put everyone to sleep, but put everyone to a state of rest, which is must be good.
Well, I mean, if people find it relaxing doing it at that pace, if you can imagine slowing that down and really experiencing each step more slowly, you can see how that you could get to a state of feeling pretty good. And that's a good thing for everybody. It's good for the body to remember what it feels like not to be stressed.
Amanda says, thank you very much. That was great. Not getting any questions.
Maybe it's all clear.
Yeah, obviously you've done your you've practiced what you've preached. Obviously, there you go. Oh well, if we don't have any more questions, which we didn't have one, but if we have any questions, and you're not typing it in now for any reason, you can just email me or Leona, or go to transformative.com.au. Where you'll find all of Leona's resources, and you're available for private consultation as well, Leona.
Yep. Yes, I am, and coaching and learning to focus as well. If somebody wants to learn to focus, I teach focusing. Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much. You've obviously hit the nail on the head.
I think working with building ways we can acknowledge our stress and have a break from it without going into avoidance or getting caught up in it. It's just a lovely way of being present to our experience, and getting some relaxation is really, really good for our well-being, physically and emotionally. It's a really lovely process for ourselves and our clients. And one sometimes I use it if I sit down to meditate and I can't concentrate. I'll just do clearing the space. Great. Yeah. So thank you for having me on tonight,
No,
Stephen. It's
thank
been an
you.
absolute pleasure to share this passion of mine.
Yeah, well, you can definitely feel it through the presentation, and it's certainly an interesting topic. We had a lot of great feedback from the last webinar as well, and of course, yeah, everyone seems to have liked what they heard. Everyone's really relaxed, so that's.
Yeah, I think we're all got really relaxed. I think any of these skills that we can have for ourselves and also our clients can learn, and we can help them to learn them, that help them become more confident in managing their own processes, they're the ones that matter to me. I basically want my clients to not need me eventually.
Yeah, well, that's the ideal situation, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
To
so
make
they start
yourself.
to trust themselves and their capacity to work in their own lives the way they know how best. Yeah.
That's exactly right. You don't want a revolving door.
No.
Because it's, yeah. No, well, thank you very much, Leona.
My pleasure.
Deeply appreciated. Deeply
It's been an
appreciated.
absolute pleasure to be involved. So
Yeah.
I'll say good night, and we'll be in touch.